Hello, everyone, and good to see you all again. I'm happy to return today to bring you another fantastic review of the EA-18G Growler. So, this aircraft is in the colors of the Carrier Air Wing of the U.S. Navy circa 2023, specifically from the VAQ-142 Strike Fighter Squadron, which painted in this low-vis gray, or low visibility gray, I should say. They're also known as the Gray Wolves. Basically, this is their call sign. So, this particular squadron is currently deployed aboard the aircraft carrier USS Gerald R. Ford. Let me give you a quick rundown on this squadron. So, the VAQ 142, as I've mentioned earlier, their official designation is the Gray Wolves. Basically, it is the U.S. Navy squadron flying the EA-18G Growlers from Naval Air Station Whidbey Island in Washington, specializing in airborne electronic attack to suppress enemy air defenses. So they provide a crucial electronic warfare support, basically supporting U.S. and coalition operations globally. And recently, they deployed with the USS Gerald R. Ford. That's pretty rad. And I believe it is the U.S. Navy's newest and the most advanced aircraft carrier, serving as the lead ship of the next generation, basically replacing the older Nimitz class. Furthermore, so the squadron formed in 1988 and transitioned to the Growlers. The core function of their mission is to provide tactical airborne electronic attack, basically jamming enemy radars and other communications. Also, the VAQ 142 was established in June 1st, 1988 in response to the Navy's requirement for 13th Operational, which is the EA-6B Prowler Squadron. So in August of 2014, the VAQ 142 began the transition to the EA-18G Growlers. And in July 2015, the VAQ 142 took acceptance of its first EA-18G Growlers, and so far, this airframe represents the most advanced technology in airborne electronic attack and stands as the Navy's first line of defense in hostile environments. Now, since we've established the squadron's background, the next topic is the history of the Growler. Now, a lot of people, always talk about the F-15EX or F-35, F-22, etc. Now, what about the Growler? So let's get to it. The Growler story starts in the late 1990s, at the time when the US Navy knew it had a growing problem with their previous electronic warfare, which is the EA-6B Prowler. So the Prowler was showing some vulnerabilities which had been the workhorse for decades, jamming enemy radars, disrupting the communications, and escort the strike packages into hostile territory. However, by the early 2000s, the Prowler was getting really old. It was kind of slow. The maintenance were getting intense. And the other side of the matter, it couldn't keep up with the newest generations of fast, agile strike fighters. For example, like the FA-18 Super Hornet. So the US Navy needed a replacement that could do multiple things like keep up and maneuver like a high speed carrier strike groups, also surviving in modern high threat environments, and deliver powerful electronic attacks against increasingly advanced enemy defenses. Now, they need some sort of solution. Well, the Navy concluded that developing a new airframe was overly risky and time consuming, and it could be very costly. So what they did, uh, basically, they find the best solution. Basically, they take the proving and versatile Super Hornet airframe and turn it into electronic attack powerhouse. Boeing, working alongside Northrop Grumman, for specialized electronic systems. So the project included designing the EA-18G Growler. So the Growler is a two-seat twin-engine electronic warfare aircraft built on the Super Hornet platform, but modified from nose to tail for a completely different mission. Its goal wasn't to out dogfight other fighters, however, it was built to do one thing: to blind the enemy and jamming their radars, confuse their missiles, disrupt their targeting systems, and consequently throwing them into the chaos. The Growler took its first flight on August 15th, 2006. Just 2 years later, in 2008, it officially entered service with the U.S. Navy Electronic Attack Squadron, which is the VAQ 129 or the Vikings. Since then, it's evolved through into studies and upgrades such as the ALQ 218 receivers and the ALQ 99 jamming pods. Those pods were originally uh, the backbone of the Growler, basically adapted from the Prowler platform, but those pods were fully integrated to align with a much faster aircraft. And recently, they're developing the next generation jammer pods. They're also working on the Block 2 upgrades, which overhaul the entire cockpit to boost the survivability and, more importantly, future proof the aircraft for modern contested environments. Since the Growler introduction, this aircraft played a key role in almost every major U.S. combat operation. Um, it's flowing combat missions over Iraq and Syria as a part of Operation Inherent Resolve, blinding ISIS and communications. It's also supported carrier strike groups deployments worldwide, providing a crucial electronic cover against emerging threats. Basically, the aircraft it's built to interfere with enemy defenses before things get spicy. Um, and it's been deployed alongside Air Force and the Marine Corps, integrating it into a joint force packages uh, for full spectrum electronic warfare dominance, from its roots as a Super Hornet spin off to its current role as a world's premier carrier based electronic aircraft. The Growler has rapidly become indispensable. This aircraft, it doesn't just support the fight, it shapes it, making it very modern air dominance, possibly by taking the enemy eyes and ears completely out of the game. At a glance, the EA-18G Growler appears almost identical to the Super Hornet. Basically, from a distance, you really can't tell whether it's a Growler or Super Hornet. But once you start digging into the details, you realize it is a completely different beast. As previously mentioned, the aircraft was built on the same FA-18F airframe. It measures well over 60 feet. It has a wingspan of nearly 45 feet, and the height is 16 feet tall, fully loaded for the mission. It can weigh up to 66,000 pounds, excuse me. And in terms of power plants, the Growler powered by two General Electric F404 turbofan engines. Each engine cranks out about 22,000 pounds of thrust, of course, with the afterburners lid, uh, which that combines 44,000 pound of thrust. Uh, the aircraft, basically 44,000 of thrust would push the aircraft at takeoff in a clean configuration, meaning no jamming pods or hanging or external fuel tanks. It can sprint right around 1.7 or 1.8 Mach. Also, it can climb and surpass 50,000 feet. The aircraft able to pull 7.5 or 8 Gs, or probably more than that. Some numbers are classified depending on the loadout and the mission profile. The other benefit is that the aircraft's body structure has been fortified to withstand substantial drag compared to the basic Super Hornet. So, speaking about those aerodynamics differences that this aircraft has, first, wing fences, small vertical surfaces mounted on the top of the wings, were added to help control airflow at a high angles of attack or AOA, especially when loaded with the heavy jamming pods or fuel tanks. The other benefits, uh, the leading edge of the wings, features some kind of sawtooth unique design, also helps to manage the airflow and reduce the air drag, particularly during a high speed, low level flight. Um, the fuselage and the wing pylons are specially reinforced to support the extra weight of the jamming pods. Also, its radar cross section is way lower than the previous Prowler. Now, with that said, is nowhere near as stealthy as, let's say, the F-22 or the F-35. So the Growler relies on speed, agility, and of course, being electronic warfare. Also, the Growler cockpit and avionics are truly in a class of their own. Obviously, the cockpit is a two-person setup. The pilot sits in the front, and the electronic warfare officer in the back. The other key system of this aircraft is the ALQ-1A receiver suite, basically built into the wingtips and fuselage. This system passively detects, identifies, and geolocates enemy radar's emitters. We're talking in a real-time scenario here. And these pods considered the workhorse of the Growler as well. And finally, there's a data link system which secure real-time network links that would allow the Growler to share electronic intelligence with a strike packages and, of course, with the AWACS aircraft. Also, the Growler able to carry two AIM-120 AMRAAMs, air-to-air missiles for self-defensive purposes thanks to its radar called the ANAPG-79 or ASA radar. This radar has an excellent situational awareness. Now, since we've covered some of the flight characteristics, let's just move on, folks, for the sake of time. While we don't hear much about the Growler, it's been a key asset in some of the most important modern conflicts. So during Operation Odyssey Dawn in 2011, the Growler made its combat debut over the skies of Libya. The aircraft was deployed to enforce a no-fly zone, jamming surface-to-air missiles and supporting the coalition strikes on the pro-Gaddafi forces. Anywho, it's worth noting that this aircraft also retains all of the FA-18E/F multi-mission capabilities with its validated design and the capability to perform a wide range of enemy defense suppression missions within the U.S. Department of Defense. And so far, the U.S. Navy is the primary and sole operator of the EA-18G Growler, although the EA-18G is cooperatively operated with the Royal Australian Air Force. That being said, there is a significant interest from current and potential international partners in this particular platform. So the United States has not sold any growlers except to Australia. That said, so for other nations seeking to acquire this platform requires prior authorization. And the other thing is that for Boeing to sell Growler to other nation, the request must be first approved by Defense Security Corporation Agency. Well, it's basically an agency within the United States Department of Defense, so DoD. So yeah, certain entities are heavily vetted against sanctions lists. So This brings us to the final chapter, speaking about the Growler capability modification, or in short, set the GCM program. Well, the first major effort to upgrade the EA-18G capabilities, so the program initiated in uh, 2021 by the U.S. Navy, which commenced at Whidbey Naval Air Station Island in Washington. So in March 2021, the multi-year program is comprised of various engineering changes, proposals across multiple aircraft systems in common with specifically FA-18E/F Block 3. So the GCM will also provide the aircraft with a significant leap in electronic warfare capability to improve combat logistical support for the joint U.S. and other allied nations. Which include integration of the next generation jammers called the midband, replacing the aging tech like the ALQ 99s with advanced capabilities, notably integrating the next generation jammers like the NGJ MB pod. Also, the Growler Block 2 GB2 is currently in development and will include spiral face based improvements, and the GB2 Phase 2 will provide dramatic upgrades to the aircraft processing and electronic warfare algorithms, alongside additional upgrades like the advanced cockpit systems, both for the U.S. Navy and for the Royal Australian Air Forces. And these enhancements will enable the EA-18G to outpace current threats and maintain the lead throughout its planned life cycle, basically to keep this platform relevant for decades. So, for the Aussies, purchased only 12 Growlers basically to complement their FA-18F Super Hornets and the F-35A fighters, and to enhance its network air power. Sweet. Now let's discuss the model, folks. So obviously, as you guys can see, this is from Hobbymaster, of course, in 1/72nd scale. The model number is HA5158. So Hobbymaster, they've done really good job of modeling the details. At a first glance, the markings insignia of the Grey Wolves, which is the VAQ-142, um, this squadron's identity and mission, which signifies like a trait, strength, etc. So overall, the authenticity of the markings are crisp and realistic, and really enhance the realism of the model. Hobbymaster has masterfully captured uh, the paint scheme, which is this low vis or low visibility paint scheme, which I'm a fan of. Also, it's a great that Hobbymaster included the darker nose cone or the radome, which protects the radar. So this section of the aircraft is often darker color due to the materials used, for all intended purposes, to let the radar waves pass through without hindering the frequencies. So the nose cap on pretty much on all growlers is typically painted in a darker shade. I'm sure there are some of you who are Growlers fans out there who know what I'm talking about, right? Anyway, um, it's amazing to see Hobbymaster capture those minor details. Next, let's check out the model accessories. This model comes with the classic Hobbymaster stand, two pieces, actually three pieces, basically allowing you to display the model in a flight configuration, which is, unfortunately, this is something I never use in my videos. I didn't like them. I never liked them. I don't know why. Anyways, plus you'll get two pilot figures and two interchangeable canopies that pop off. Now, speaking about the weapons package, this model features a weapons payload configuration consisting of two drop tanks mounted under each pylon, along with three jamming pods and two anti-radiation missiles or harm missiles. So I'll provide better explanation and pinpoint where these components are situated. So, on the center line, under the belly of the aircraft, you have the ALQ-99, which is the high band jammer pod. And last but not least, you'll get two ALQ-249s under each pylon under the wings. And these are considered the next generation jammers for the Growler, and those jammers significantly enhance the EA-18G Growler's ability to counter sophisticated air defense systems and other radio frequencies, basically improving the overall effectiveness of naval air power. Anyway, um, you'll get two jamming pods that are mounted on the wingtips, and those are fixed. And these are called, pardon me, folks, so I'm trying to recall the name of these jamming pods. I think they're called the ALQ 218s. But anyways, you'll get two AIM 120 AMRAMs on the fuselage stations outboard of the engine intakes, basically on the cheeks intakes, I should say. Anyways, that's it for the accessories. It's fairly comprehensive accessories. It's a decent loadout for the aircraft. So, kudos to Hobby Master to add all those accessories with the model. I also do like that the Highmaster has added the SATCOM or satellite communications antenna, basically located on the top of the fuselage uh, towards the rear of the aircraft. So overall, it's a beautiful model. Love it. Always a fan of the Growlers and generally the whole Hornet slash Super Hornet family. I think they're just incredible machines. Now, one last thing to point out, which is the montage probably giveaway, are the changes that I made to this model. So I did modify this model. I did few modifications here and there, very few, not a whole lot. So for those with a keen eye, you've likely already seen the changes that I've made. Folks, here's a quick step-by-step walkthrough of the changes that I made to this model. So the initial step involved weathering the bulky landing gear and apply a little patina to them, uh, basically to achieve a more realistic appearance. Step two, I had to paint the interior of the air intakes myself because, as many of you know, the manufacturers omitted those kind of details. So the air intakes on all F-18s category, Hornets, Super Hornets, Growlers, so the interior should be painted white or some kind of creamy off-white. Folks, I don't know about you all, but to me, those details are necessary. And unfortunately, Hobby Master, they don't offer those kind of details for whatever reason. I mean, they could have charged a little extra, like, like 10, 20, 30. If they add those details, I mean, I'm on board. But anyway, um, hopefully Hobby Master will pay closer attention to those details going forward and improve their tooling accordingly. While the exterior is great, there is no complaint here. I mean, the shape, overall, the appearance. However, the air intakes are lacking. It's a bit shame, but anyway, in addition to painting the interior of the air intakes, I also installed a fake compressor face to simulate the engines, which is the General Electric F404. Now, here's a catch. Building a custom compressor face is extraordinary difficult thing to do. Here's why I'm saying this, and don't ask me why. Well, the area is, you know, too deep to physically reach, right? With that said, basically, you have to use your own imagination and talent to visualize the measurements and plan precise cuts. Um, it is quite challenging. So, for those of you wondering about the ease or difficulty of the entire process, now I will say it is not something simple. This is not something very simple. Some folks might say, oh, probably I can do this. Yeah, trust me. Uh, it's it's a quite challenging. The other frustrating part is going to be paint section, the air intakes, because as I've mentioned earlier, the area is quite small, so not a whole lot of real estate, basically demanding a high precision using some professional craft tools like a very, very tiny brush. And while you're applying the paint, you have to hold your breath for a few seconds because you don't want that, you don't want the paint to bleed and cause a mess, right? Then you have to, deal another sets of problems. You have to clean, you have to, redo everything. Um, and, the other thing I would say, you definitely need to have a nimble fingers or flexible hands, I should say. It was a bit of pain in the butt. However, looking at the results at the end of the day, it was definitely worth it for me. So now, since you all saw the modifications that I've done to this model, now this model is bang on. It's 100% dialed in. I'm so happy about the outcomes. Uh, I'm getting emotional. I'm about to cry. No, I'm just kidding. um, we have to keep that sense of humor sometimes, right? Anyway, please let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Tell me if I did a good work, and let me know if this is something you would consider doing of those kind of projects on your own models. I'm definitely interested to know if you think this is a good idea for future iterations. By the way, this model isn't my only modification project. As many of my longtime subscribers will remember from my earlier videos, I've also covered topics like upgrading the nozzles on the F-15s some years back. I also do weathering effects and modify some air intakes in various models such as the F4 Phantoms, etc. Hopefully I can recognize and publish those videos as time permits. Again, for those of you who are able to take it on and like doing these kind of projects on the models, um, all I can say, I extend my best wishes for successful outcomes. Anyway, uh, since we've covered the project aspects, let's get back to the model. So, overall, this is a beautiful model and one I definitely recommend picking up. And there are quite few releases from Hobbymaster to consider. However, please note that the inherent value of these growlers does not typically depreciate. Their prices often increases over time. Unfortunately, it's only going in one direction, and that's just the reality, folks. This particular release has been on the market for quite some time, and it's still available, but the prices are somewhat premium at this point. I don't know why. I mean, these models are just getting more and more expensive as we face a new landscape of tariffs and longer shipping times, multiple setbacks from manufacturers, which ultimately increases the cost to produce an import item. And bottom line is we're seeing a sharp raise in the cost of die-cast models, which is sadly pushing many enthusiasts out of this hobby. Folks, I aim to review models before their timeline releases ends and before the model are fully gone, so you guys can hop up there and pull a trigger on them. However, as many of you know, the nature of my videos, which discussing the aircraft history, and I have to do a lot of homework to compete the source materials versus my time schedules, which I have very limited time, and consequently, it puts me in a slow pattern. That being said, so by the time I get around review, the model is usually already sold out or extraordinarily expensive. Not to mention the 500 plus models that I have in my collection, and the newest arrivals are just keep coming. Holy buckets. I'm assuming I'll be retired by the time I review them all. So, having said that, it's time to wrap things up. Thank you all for watching and for sticking around. Please like the video. If you like my work and support my channel, consider subscribing, which would help me a lot. Once you hit that subscribe button, you won't win the lottery, uh, but it does boost my momentum. Trust me. Plus, you'll get an update once I drop a new video. basically you'll have the access to the latest uploads. There are some very cool videos coming down the line, so you know be sure to stick around. I've always tried to produce a quality videos because quality has always been my top priority. So with that, thanks again for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next review.